Hey folks, this is BestInSlot taking a look at the brand new Feathered Species Pack for Jurassic World Evolution 2. A new 4 species pack coming out on the 30th of March. That's in 8 days time, next Friday, a week on Friday, along with a free update. Now, we don't know too much about the free update, but we have heard some of the key features and they are incredibly exciting as well. This is maybe the most hyped I've been about Evolution 2 since Evolution 2 was announced. I'm not kidding. It's going to be my favourite DLC and my favourite free update based on what we've heard so far. But let's dig into it. Let's take a look. So, you've of course already seen the Feathered Species trailer. You can check that out on my channel if you've missed it. And it introduced one of my all-time favourite dinosaurs. I literally said just yesterday, potentially my favourite dinosaur, Yutyrannus. And it looks stunning. Just to confirm, I was wrong. I don't admit this very often when it comes to evolution speculation. But as you can see, comparing the tail, the Yutyrannus was indeed the dinosaur teased during the teaser we discussed yesterday. I thought it looked a little bit too small, but in-game it looks perfectly fine, and I was wrong. I don't say that very often, but I was wrong. So it was the Yutyrannus, and isn't she an absolute beauty? This is how Frontier describes it. Befittingly named Feathered Tyrant, derived from Mandarin Chinese and Latin, the Yutyrannus is one of the largest known feathered carnivores. With its incredibly striking nasal crest and stunning coat, it's likely to make a thrilling addition to your park. It's worth noting, I love the direction they've gone with their coloration lately. I feel like Frontier have really stepped up their skin game, and this coloration we're getting here around the head is truly remarkable. I love the patterning. I love that really soft gradiented colour we've got there, from that sort of pale blue to these whites, or that sort of brown to that white there on the cheek area, and then this burst of colour on these really striking nasal horns, and even the darker sort of nasal snout area there at the end. And then, of course, you've got this beautiful, fully feathered body, a little bit splaying out there, you know, these sort of basal wings there on the elbows, and then this beautiful, huge tail fan at the back, splaying out, proper evocative. It is... Look, I haven't seen much of it in game. We've only seen the trailer. I don't know the animations. I don't know anything else, but this is potentially my favourite creature in the entire game already. I think it is the best work visually Frontier have ever done. I think that is a stunning creature. And it will do nothing but go on about it if we don't move on with our lives. Because Yutyrannus was kind of expected, as was one of the others, but we do have some pretty cool little creatures popping up. So we've got Sinosauropteryx, which actually has appeared in Jurassic Park canon before several times. It was in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder, for example. It was on the Jurassic Park Institute site all those years ago. It looked quite different, as you can see, but it was there all those years ago. This little lad, this small carnivorous dinosaur is notable for its short arms and remarkably long tail. Terrible screenshot to show the case that long tail, by the way, but that's what it's known for. That was thought to be used for balance as it ran on its hind legs. Traditionally named the Chinese dragon bird, the Sinosauropteryx is covered in delicate hair-like feathers and a wavy striped tail that is sure to make an impactful impression on your guests. So first of all, again, we've got this... It's hard to describe what I mean here, but there seems to be a new philosophy in terms of their skin design. I've seen it on several of their creatures now. Dimetrodon, for example, comes to mind, and this one really showcases it as well. I love those big, wide eyes. It kind of makes it look like a baby, but also gives it that sort of nocturnal, speedy, agile hunter kind of vibe. Those really short, sort of prickly-looking hairs, that tail that you can't really see here, but we can see it's big and bushy there in the distance. Funnily enough, this image here, some people thought it might be Sinosauropteryx because Sinosauropteryx is one of the few dinosaurs that has evidence of what its feathering would have actually looked like. We know that it had a banded, alternating light and dark tail, just like this creature right here. So if it wasn't Yutyrannus, it was a good shout. It's a little bit too big, I think, based on the screenshot, obviously, as that happens. But people did suspect it could be Sinosauropteryx. So really cool that we've got that. And really cool that we've got another dinosaur plucked from long-standing Jurassic Park canon to bring into our parks. And it's super cute. Looks phenomenal. Right, the other big fan favourite in the pack, Deinocheirus. Absolutely a dinosaur we've wanted for a long time. There's so many mods adding Deinocheirus to the game because everybody wants a Deinocheirus in their parks. This is how Frontier describes it. With arms longer than any bipedal dinosaur. It is competing for longest arms out there completely. It's fighting with like a Thery and that lot. The Deinocheirus is sure to wow your guests. Its fascinating duck-like bill and broad hump make this dinosaur a distinctive prehistoric species to add to your parks. You'll most likely find them foraging on their favourite meal, plants. So of course it is herbivorous. As a Deinocheirus, it would have been feeding on and slimes and moss and all this kind of jazz, yada yada yada. Anyways, also absolutely beautiful. So we've got this. This is why, like, so you can render Deinocheirus differently, but most paleo art I see of Deinocheirus has a feathered tail more like this huge splayed out thing, and that's why I thought the image the other day wasn't Deinocheirus, and that is the direction Frontier have gone with. And I really like that, because you can definitely do it in different ways, but this sort of tail style here is demonstrably different than everything else in the game. It's not a traditional tail fan, it's almost hanging down, it's like it's got this weight to it, it feels almost sodden with water, which is really relevant for the Deinocheirus. I've got to say as well, they've clearly stepped up their game when it comes to the coloration of the feathers, because we've got quite a plain face here. We've got this sort of leathery sort of texture, we've got that like duckbill mouth there at the end. Those long arms which are kind of crunched in around there, as you can see. But the feather, the texture and the coloration and patterning on that feathered body is really, really nice. I've been begging for a feathered pack because their feather shader is really top notch, and they've, yeah, I'm really blown away by how high quality all four of these creatures are. And super excited to get Deinocheirus in the park. Really excited to have another lumbering, large, bipedal herbivore. You know, it's such a rarity. The Sinosauropteryx is the only one we really have in that regard. Well, no, it's not, but large, bipedal, feathered herbivore, you know, they're a novelty, and now we've got two of them. Okay, and final, the surprise addition to the pack. I'd say the other three were moderately expected. I think a lot of us hoped for like a Yutyraptor or something. I've still got my fingers crossed for the future that Yutyraptor will make an appearance. But this little lad, Jeholopterus, we're going with Jeholopterus. Agile and quick in flight, the Jeholopterus prides itself as one of the smallest airborne species in the game. I like to think that this little guy is flying around thinking, yeah, I'm the best. Look at me, I'm freaking tiny. Their small stature allows them to soar through the air with ease, chasing down insects for their next meal. So this is a type of small, short-tailed pterosaur known as it's an anorognathid. There you go, anorognathid, bloody Nora. These are, as I say, short-tailed pterosaurs from Europe and Asia, maybe North America, during the Jurassic and Cretaceous. Now, there's a few different genera known. Jeholopterus is one of them, but Anorognathus is what a lot of people thought this was upon first glimpse, because that's definitely the most well-known. You know, you've got the Anorognathid's, and then we've got Anorognathus, but this is instead Jeholopterus, which is pretty cool that we've got something. They'd like to throw in a slightly unknown creature in there, and these are bat-like in their sort of body formation. They look almost mammalian because of these, you know, short, tiny little feathers all over their body, almost fur-like rather than feather-like, and those feet are very bat-like as well for gripping onto trees. They look really cool. I'm very excited to see this little guy in a little bit more detail. Love the patterning on the wings there, though. That's moving away from a bat-like texture and much more in like a moth or something like that. It feels like a nighttime hunter. Either way, I'm super excited to get a closer look at these guys in game and have tons of them flying around at like a nighttime exhibit. Maybe with like a drive-through tour, you know, you can send your truck tours through your aviaries now. You'd have a little aviary, you'd have it nighttime, and you'd have tons of these flying around and roosting in the area. I think that's going to look great. But yeah, really cool choice. I love seeing these more obscure creatures. Something that, again, resembles nothing we've got in the game so far. This is completely different when it comes to pterosaurs. And at least to my sort of semi-layman eyes, this looks like, again, a really good rendition of the creature. I've got to say, all four creatures in the pack look phenomenal. This is like one of the first packs where I think there's no weak spot as far as I can tell. But I will keep going back to look at that Yutyrannus because, my God, she's beautiful. Right, that is not all I want to talk about. So those are the 4 new creatures you get in the pack. But if you're not buying the pack, you still get a free update. We'll inevitably have another video on this down the line. They're going to give us more information about this on the forums somewhat soon, but let's find out what we know so far. So this is blah, 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 blah. We don't need to read that. A new addition we've added in Update 6 is remote viewing galleries. These galleries are essentially new building attractions you can place inside enclosures to give your guests front row seats to watch their favourite prehistoric species. There are 2 types of galleries you can place in your park, the log viewing gallery and the dome viewing gallery. Excited to see how you implement them into your enclosures and aviaries. So this, I mean, that's a beautiful DLC pack, but this is potentially just as exciting. It's essentially, I know they're both viewing galleries, but it feels essentially like 2 whole new attraction types in the game. One of them, of course, based on the log from Jurassic World, and one of them, I've been asking for this for literally 5 years. And this is the only screenshot I could find, by the way, the viewing dome from JPOG, where people walk underground and then they pop up in a viewing dome, kind of like you would at a meerkat habitat, but much larger, and they're able to look around from there in the middle of the exhibits. I'm assuming they'll all have an access point that you place on the outside onto the fence, like a typical viewing gallery. People will enter through that, and then they'll pop up in the middle in the log, or in the dome. The log one's interesting. In particular, the dome is very easy to see how it would work. The log, of course, usually stretches across the entire habitat. Now, that's not going to be the case. So how do they end the log? How's that going to be structured? I'm very curious about the log, as I always am. But that is super exciting. I'm gonna say straight up, 2 brand new attractions. Something we've been crying out for ages. We've already got the zip line from last year. That is super exciting news. Really, really is. But there is more to come. Update 6 will also have a new cinematic camera mode for you to play around with, adding diverse ways to capture your very best screenshots. That's really interesting. I don't really know what to take from that. I'm begging that we've got slow motion mode back, because they took it away in Evolution 2. It's like the only thing that didn't make it from Evolution 1 to Evolution 2. I would love to have that back, so fingers crossed. And also new zipline variants to decorate your park with. Of course, we knew that, but it does say variants plural. So we've seen the DFW one, of course we've got a Jurassic World one. That definitely implies we'll at least get a Jurassic Park one as well, fingers crossed. Maybe also a Biosyn one. It'd be cool to have one for every single area of the game, so hopefully we'll see those pretty soon. Sandbox mode is also getting a plethora, fantastic word, of additions. You'll be getting 6 new square levels. Let's talk about that very quickly. New square levels. I wonder if this is just for people who just want to straight up build their park. No terrain in the way, no mountains in the way. Kind of like you're building, we build with free build and stuff like that when we do mod stuff and we flatten everything. You've got full control. I think this might be Frontier's kind of solution to that. And the benefit of that, if it's not wibbly wobbly, we could in theory just get a gigantic square map. They could push the boat out a little bit more, maybe give us the biggest building space in the entire game. For people who do just want to build the park exactly as they envision it, this sounds potentially really, really exciting, actually. Definitely be trying those out in the patch. New settings for feeder reserves, so feeders last longer, shorter. Income tax, wild capture frequency, changes to decoration foliage. That one's an interesting one. Decoration foliage to make management even more rewardable. I'm assuming that is something like placing decorations attracts guests or brings in income, or there's some facet that decoration foliage will start to matter for your management. Anyways, that is it. That's all we know so far. I cannot get over how exciting that 2 new decorations is. It's blowing my mind a little bit. 2 new decorations and a Yutyrannus. It's like all my Christmases come at once. The most exciting pack I've personally seen for Evolution 2. Potentially also Evolution 1. It really is up there based on what we've seen so far. Of course, if we find out any more, I'll bring that information to you right here on the channel. I'll keep an eye out on the forums. Hopefully we find out a little bit more about Update 6 pretty soon as well. But, yeah. Hype. Really just very exciting stuff. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Which of those 4 new creatures would you be most excited to add to your parks? And how do you feel about Update 6 based on what we know as well? I'm going to stop gushing, okay? I hate the word, but it's true. Throw me a like down below if you're also excited and you like the video, and I will see you lovely hooks very, very soon. Thanks for joining me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.